Heroes in Crisis, or as I like to call it, the series that basically kills Rebirth. This is issue number 6 of 9 from DC Comics. Oh, I hate this series so much. I don't know why I keep reading it. I don't know if I just want to torture myself, or maybe it's just some kind of therapeutic. It's like cathartic. It's like a hate read. Or maybe I just want to see how shitty it can get. But yeah, here I am reading issue number 6. Who's behind the massacre? Who knows? Because this issue doesn't say anything about that. This issue is basically nothing but filler, which is very surprising because like the previous issues have pretty much been nothing but filler. We're issue number 6 of 9, and nothing has happened. Nothing significant has happened since like the first couple issues. I don't know. Like I see this with Tom King all the time. I mean, my knowledge of Tom King stuff is basically Heroes in Crisis, some of his Batman, and Mr. Miracle. And I know there's like other stuff that he's done that a lot of people praise. I haven't read those, so I'm not sure. But from what I have read, which has been like his recent stuff, he drags things out way too much. He has a really bad issue of telling, not showing, when he should be showing, not telling. I mean, it's like wasted pages, wasted issues. Also, like all his characters are just really just depressing and apathetic and just, I don't know, it's annoying. So we start off with Narc, Wally, and Harley, and they're basically answering a question that they were asked: how many people have you saved? And Narc is just basically like he doesn't know. I mean, there's basically a whole page of them just answering this one question, but I'm just gonna take out the bottom part, just to kind of show some of this. Like, so Wally's like, let's just say it's not enough. Whatever the number is, it should have been higher. That's a fine answer. Like I totally understand that. Harley's though, I bet you think this is saving all this psychological pitter patter. Well, let me say one thing to another: you're not doing no one no good. And here's the thing: like I don't want to get personal into this, but I mean it's kind of non-debatable that Tom King puts himself into his characters. Like everyone sees it, everyone comments on this, and a lot of people have pointed out that it seems like Tom King has issues that he really needs to get help on, and instead of actually seeking professional help, he's pretty much using comics as his therapy and kind of making us his unofficial shrinks. Plenty of people pointed this out, and I feel like maybe if that's all the case, this might be the answer right here. Tom King doesn't see therapy as any help. You're not doing no one no good, and I gotta say that that's bullshit. As someone who actually sees a therapist, trust me, it helps a lot. I've said this in plenty of videos. I've said this in streams and stuff. Anyone who doesn't know, I suffer from panic disorder with agoraphobia. Actually, it's technically agoraphobia with panic disorder. Same thing. I'm not going to mention, why I got it or any of that stuff. But basically, anyone familiar with comics, you guys know what Jessica Cruz, the Green Lantern, has. I have that exact same thing. I have panic attacks when I leave the house. Being in social situations is really terrible. I've never been like invited to any of these. Like I see a lot of other comic YouTubers do like streams with each other, like group streams. I've never been invited to any of them, but even if I was, I probably wouldn't accept, just for the simple fact that I will probably have a panic attack, and I don't want to do that on air. But yeah, I don't deal well with others, and yeah, I basically I see a therapist, and it has helped a lot. Before, like I said, I couldn't leave the house like at all. I've literally been in the past I've been a homebound for like 3 years. For 3 years, I couldn't leave the house at all. I can get out of the house now. I can go to certain places. It's not the best. Like I still tend to have panic attacks and things like that. But I've been getting a lot better. Hell, just earlier this week, I went to the dentist, and some of you may think, oh, that's nothing. Trust me, for me, it's something. For me, that is like a huge step, because being out of the house, all right, having to travel like 20 minutes to get to my, dentist, and then having to be, I'm not physically strapped, but I'm basically stuck in that chair until, they're done cleaning my mouth, which can take like 40 something minutes. So being stuck somewhere for like 40 something minutes without feeling like I have an escape, trust me, it's very panic inducing. But I got through that. You know how I got through that? With therapy. I don't take any medication or anything like that. But I see a therapist once a week for help, and it helps a lot. So this right here, this pisses me off because you're not doing no good. No, they are doing good. They are doing really fucking good. Anyone who has a therapist, if you feel like Harley, it's not because of therapy itself. It's because of that specific therapist, and I would highly recommend finding another one because it did take me 3 therapists to find the one that I have that really helps. And the previous ones have sucked, and I've almost given up on therapy. But when you find the right one, trust me, it helps a lot. So seeing this panel right here annoys the shit out of me. And if this is basically Tom King's thoughts on the matter, he is fucking wrong. That's all I can say. Trust me, therapy works. But yeah, we basically get Wally with Barry Allen telling him, hey, like that wonderful moment where Barry and Wally finally meet up, and Barry recognizes Wally, and he's like, how can I forget you? Like, I'm glad you're here. And what does Tom King do? He takes that beautiful, awesome moment and he shits on it. He completely shits on it. And we see more of this, where basically all the heroes come to Wally and they're like, your hope, you're what we've been missing. This is basically the audience's thoughts on Rebirth. You're what we've been missing. You're what everyone's been missing all these years. Your hope. This is basically what the audience was saying about Rebirth in reaction to New 52. Like, New 52 was not what anyone wanted. Rebirth is what we wanted. Hope. These characters that, we loved, like, not being shit on and stuff. But this issue, this series just completely does it. So we got, okay, they were so excited, everyone. Again, remember that this is DC talking about the audience. They were so excited, everyone. A whole universe, even me, like we were reborn. But how can you be reborn without, how does it matter without, how are you supposed to be Hope without Linda, Jay, Iris? It basically just shits all over Rebirth. And it kind of shits on the audience for feeling this way about Rebirth. And all I can think of is like, this is Dan Didio. This has Dan Didio written all over it. Because we've seen like interviews and stuff with him where he hates Rebirth. He wants to take things back into the New 52 territory. And we see that with Dark Knight's Metal, which, again, I like Dark Knight's Metal. I enjoyed that. But I don't want everything to be Dark Knight's Metal. The reason why I like Dark Knight's Metal is because it was unique. It was like a somewhat dark horror theme, Lovecraftian elements, events in the middle of all this great, bright, powerful hope, Rebirth. That's why I liked it, because it stood out. But now everything is basically Dark Knight's Metal. Everything is dark. Everything is depressing. We have Dick Grayson shot in the head, and now he goes by Rick. We have Wally, who he may be dead. He may be a murderer. Either way, he's just a sad dude with no hope whatsoever, just constantly whining. And I know you might be saying, well, I mean, he misses his family. I get it. But still, like, that's all his character is nowadays. It's just him whining about his family. We get Rory, who's dead. We get Donna, who's now an alcoholic. Like, basically, DC is just taking all these legacy characters and just completely shitting on all of them. So we have this. This is a screenshot, not from the comic, obviously. This is from Reddit. I mentioned this before, but I'm not too knowledgeable on DC. I grew up a Marvel kid, and then when I came back to comics, I came back because of Rebirth. And I kind of distanced myself from Marvel because, I mean, anyone who's been watching you know, these YouTube videos for, like Diversity in Comics, Just Some Guy, Yellow Flash, Umbrella Guy, anyone who's been reading Marvel, like you guys know why. I mean, Marvel's just garbage. It's really hard to find good stuff from them. But yeah, when I came back to comics, I basically came back because of Rebirth. But because I didn't follow it as a kid or as a teen, I'm not that knowledgeable on exactly what's going on. So every time when I finish reading an issue, I will usually go to like message boards and Reddits and stuff like that and just see like people's discussions on the issue. So that way I can like piece together information about what's going on. So I thought this was kind of interesting, and maybe one of you guys can confirm it for me. So it says, throughout Wally's appearance in this book, everyone is happy he returned from the Speed Force flashback. So the flashback event, I'm familiar with that. But he keeps going on about the kids and Linda, even though he didn't even know about the kids until Flash War. King tries to defend this by making Wally say, I knew, even if I didn't know, I kind of knew. That's true, I do remember that line. This feels like it destroyed the whole point of DCU Rebirth. So can anyone confirm that? So basically, Wally's whole situation about being depressed because of his family shouldn't even be a thing because of the fact that he shouldn't have known about them, because the event where he does find out didn't happen because Rebirth kind of messed with that. I don't know if anyone can shine some light on that. Here's the thing. Should I say this now or should I wait until after I finish this? I'll just say now. Okay. So the whole recent thing with Rebirth, well, not with Rebirth, DC lately, has been really mind-boggling in the sense that with Rebirth, we have these characters who basically events, memories, relationships have either been destroyed, retconned, changed, disappeared, never happened. Basically, everything is kind of messed up. Like people aren't familiar, like what exactly happened. Like it feels like part of our lives is missing. It feels like things got changed, maybe for the better, maybe for the worse. That's basically like kind of Rebirth. And I know Doomsday Clock was supposed to kind of answer some of that, but Doomsday Clock is having its own issues in terms of like constantly being delayed and stuff like that. But why isn't that more of a big deal? Why is it that, I don't know, like you would think there would be like a big event, or in the comics you would have these characters banding together to try to figure out what the hell happened to them. Like we kind of got a little bit of that in the very first few issues of every series of Rebirth, where we had characters trying to figure out, okay, what exactly happened with our life, like what changes have been made. Like, every character feels like, okay, something is like missing, like, and then it's almost like we completely forgot about that until Heroes in Crisis kind of brings it back a little bit with Wally. But it's like Wally shouldn't be the only one acting like this. I'm not saying I want every character to be like sad, depressing. I don't want that at all. But I don't want Wally to be the only one thinking like, how can people move on when there's something wrong with us, something is missing. I don't know. I feel like all the other characters should kind of be on this too. But their reaction instead is just like, oh, let's open an unlicensed therapy for villains and heroes to go together and talk to a computer AI that immediately destroys their sessions after it's done. Like, like the jump is just weird. I don't know. I kind of wish more people would kind of try to get more to the bottom of what the hell happened with Rebirth. But I feel like DC just wants to kill it. So we have this. We have Harley and Poison Ivy spending their sessions together. And I erased a lot of the dialogue. I only showed a little bit of it. And the little bit of it has no significance. I just want to show how basically within this filler issue, we have filler panels and pages. Like we literally have this whole entire page just for this pointless dialogue. At least I'm not bored. Yay. There were a lot of bad things. I know, hon. Nothing helps. I know. Bad things don't become good things. I'm still going to try. I know. That's this whole thing is just this. Is this page needed? Like I don't understand what's going on with this series. Like originally it's supposed to be a 6 issue mini events about these characters talking about their psychological damage, and then it turned into this murder mystery, mostly because of Dan Didio. But now we get these just nothing but filler. Every issue, nothing happens. We basically just get, oh, look at Laguna Boy. Here's what he did in Sanctuary. And this issue is like, okay, here's what Narc did in Sanctuary. Here's how Poison Ivy and Harley are dealing with Sanctuary. Here's what Wally is doing in Sanctuary. It's like, I don't care. Why are you telling me this? Like, what am I supposed to get out of this? Like, I don't care about seeing these characters and what they're doing in Sanctuary. I honestly don't care. Like, you introduced a murder mystery. Maybe it wasn't your original idea, but you signed on to do it. So let's get to the actual murder mystery parts. I don't care what everyone else is doing in Sanctuary. I hate the fact that Sanctuary is even a thing, but it's just, there's nothing going on here. It's an event about nothing. Literally nothing happens. We haven't had any real thing with the mystery for multiple issues. Like, nothing's going on. Like, here we have Narc, and he's just basically talking about his thing about how he used to like being in the past and, living the life of, either you kill or you get killed kind of. And now he's in the modern day world and he's not happy. None of these characters are happy with their lives. Comics are escapism. That's why a lot of people read them. Just to kind of enjoy stuff, like, take a break from the real world and escape into this fantasy world. Why do I want to escape into a fantasy world where the characters themselves hate their world and want to escape? Please explain that to me. The characters in your escapism want escapism. Why the hell do I want to read that? So we get this from Narc where he's dying. And he says, Narc lived in cave, looking at shadows on wall. Then Narc leave cave. Narc see all world. Narc think Plato wrong. Goal not leave cave. Goal no cave there. World there. And shadows everywhere. This is another thing that Tom King does where we saw this earlier. Let's go back. Right here, where you take a beautiful moment or you take something hopeful and you just completely shit on it and make it dark. He's kind of doing the same thing here, where Plato's whole thing, his allegory in the cave, is that basically there's these cavemen and they're looking at shadows on the wall. And one of them, they basically think that's the whole world. But then one of them basically notices that there's actually a entrance/exit to the cave. And then he leaves and he discovers that the cave isn't the whole world. There's actually a whole world outside the cave. And then Tom King just basically makes it about looking. It's not discovering that there's a whole world outside the cave. It's discovering that there's a cave, there's a world, and then there's dark shadows and horrible stuff everywhere. Like, basically there's shadows everywhere. Everywhere is dark, kind of. I don't know. Tom King seems to be basically like, would emo be the word? I don't know. He kind of basically takes everything and he just makes it unnecessarily dark and depressing and melodramatic, in the sense that he basically just takes all these beloved characters, all this hopefulness, and then he just destroys it. And then we get this, I don't know if this was just like, let's just throw in a jab about weapons in there and also some more darkness. Weapons don't save things, weapons kill things. Yes and no. Weapons do save things. I mean, I don't know if this is supposed to be like some kind of like anti-gun panel. I kind of find it funny that's coming from gunfire of all people. Here's the thing. We all see like shootings in the media. Media always jumps on that kind of stuff. What you never see is all the lives that were saved because of guns. Because the media never shows it. But there are plenty of lives saved, robberies ended because of a civilian with a licensed firearm. Weapons do save things. So this is bullshit. And then right here, nobody saves anybody. Life's like energy, man. It's conserved. Anyone's living just means someone is dying. This is like a terrible way to look at things. Anyone who's alive right now is going to die. Well, yeah, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be saved. So what? There's no point in saving anyone because they're just going to die eventually? Then what's the point in medicine? What's the point in... I mean, if you're just going to die, then why bother trying to save anybody? What's the point in police officers? What's the point in, ambulances, paramedics, doctors? All you're doing is you're prolonging the inevitable. Like, I don't know. Like, this is just like a very shitty, depressing way to look at things. And again, I feel like, I don't want to get too personal, but I feel like this is basically Tom King's whole thing right here. Because I see this constantly. Just, you take just constantly looking at the dark side of things. Like everything's pessimistic point of view. Like when Tom King is involved in a series, everything is pessimistic. There's no hopefulness ever. It's very depressing. I feel sorry for the people reading Batman. Like there's no hopefulness in it. Like, and you got like what 40 something more issues to go. Like 100 issues of just dark, depressing Batman with no hopefulness. I don't know how people can still like Tom King. Again, I say this as me speaking about him as a writer. I don't have any problems with him whatsoever as a person. This is just me seeing him as a writer. I don't want him to write anything that I like. I want him to stay away from all the characters I enjoy because he's just gonna make me hate them. He's already made me hate Harley. It's very sad that we went from Rebirth, which was all about hopefulness, and now we're here with Heroes in Crisis, where basically everything that was hopeful is destroyed. That's basically what DC has done. They basically took Rebirth and everything Rebirth stood for and destroyed it. And it's sad because Rebirth was amazing. And it's what actually, Rebirth single-handedly brought me back into comics. Because of Rebirth, I'm back into comics after being away for like 2 decades. Just because of Rebirth. And now it's like, not only are we destroying it, but we're going to be shitting on its grave. That's basically DC's mindset, and I hate it. But yeah, that's Heroes in Crisis, issue number 6 of 9. It sucks. This whole issue is it's filler. Nothing happens. It just shits all over the legacy of Rebirth, all over the legacy characters. Everyone's dark, everyone's depressed, everyone's pessimistic. There's no hope. Why bother? That's pretty much the whole message of this. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Feel free to comment down below. Comment about whatever you want. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What are your thoughts? I would love to hear them. But yeah, I also have a Twitch, which you can find information below. It's also at Pirate Monkey, where I stream video games if you're interested in that. But yeah, tell me what you guys think. I'm really curious to hear. What are your guys' take on Heroes in Crisis, this issue, what DC is doing to Rebirth, the direction DC is going? Do you guys like it? Do you guys not like it? I don't know. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys next time. Later.